visiting today's webinar. My name is Ganga and I am here for hosting today's webinar. So let us begin this webinar by seeking the blessing of Lord Almighty with a silent prayer. As we all know, University Institute of Technology Alappuzha has completed 25 years of excellence in education. As part of Silver Jubilee celebration, Department of Computer Science organized an interdisciplinary webinar series March 2021, named as Ensemble, a Window to the New World. Let us welcome Mrs. Sunita M. Nair, Assistant Professor in Computer Science Department, to deliver the welcome speech. Ma'am, please.
Good afternoon, all. On behalf of University Institute of Technology, I welcome all of you to this webinar session. Our Honorable Principal, Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai, who gives a lot of support and guidance to conduct this event. I welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our chief guest, the resource person, Mr. INDUMON Das, founder and managing director of BNX, who has more than 16 years of experience in large data analytics projects across the globe. Welcome, Mr. INDUMON Das. I extend a very sincere and warm welcome to all the participants present here on this wonderful event. I expect your active presence during the entire session and make it a great success. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Today's webinar is about Applied Machine Learning and Artificial Intelligence by INDUMON Das. Mr. INDUMON Das, founder and managing director of BNX. BNX is a leading analytics and digital transformation company in the Europe and Middle East region. Mr. INDUMON Das is the founder of BNX Consulting. He is the data analytics and digital transformation specialist with 16 years of experience in architecting, leading and implementing large data analytics projects across the globe. An evangelist of data literacy and self-service analytics, he has trained more than 1,000 business users and 100+ enterprise clients in various analytics techniques. Mr. INDUMON Das is an advisory member prior to the entrepreneurship journey. He worked with large multinational companies and led risk analytics practice for Deloitte and Ernst and Young Middle East. Now, this is the time for I request all of you to mute your microphone for avoiding noises. And it's over to you, sir. Please.
Excellent, guys. Thank you very much. So, thanks for the introduction. So, I don't remember your name. So, thanks, Sunita. So, it's a great pleasure to actually be with you guys. So, let me share my presentation first. Sunita, can you actually check my presenter rights? Do I able to share my screen? I don't see I can do it now because I don't have that share option. So, meanwhile, I'm an colleague or classmate of Sunita. So it's actually on a personal reference, and I'm in India these days. So I just thought of actually sharing my knowledge. First of all, I'm not an academician, so I'm basically a businessman, but with a career of in data analytics, actually. So data analytics, AI, machine learning is my primary domain. So my perspective today is actually give you some insights on what actually the industry is doing. So I work with almost 300 customers around the world as part of BNX, and I oversee the project. So I can give you some perspectives and interesting use cases. You can see how things work. So that's my intention. So a couple of things I will be actually showing live. So my intention is you guys should actually watch it and follow, and you can try yourself once you're actually back to your, back to your class or back to your home. You can actually try yourself. So it's not something like just a presentation. So it's most of a demonstration of how things work. And I want really you have to be interactive with me. So I will be asking questions to you. So you have to ask me questions. Any point you can interrupt me. So don't be just a listener. Okay. So I recommend you to asking a lot of questions during the session or after the session. Okay. So Sunita, still I'm not able to share my screen. Can you make me as a presenter, please?
Hello.
Hello. Can you make me as a presenter? Yeah, I think okay then. Thank you. So can you see my screen? Just yeah, it's good. It's good actually. So can you guys see my screen? Let me know if everyone can see my screen. Can someone please talk? I just need a support. Be vocal here, please, guys. I can't actually just present it one side. I need your contribution from your side as well. So can you see the screen, please? Can someone tell me whether you can see the screen? Excellent. So thank you very much. So I introduced myself because you guys are actually talking about my background and profile. It's actually nothing, but I've actually done my entire career in analytics and data. So I worked with companies before I start my own entrepreneurship journey. So last 4 years, I'm 100% into analytics-driven organization and building products across the world. So that's my primary thing. And I have a team of 100+ data scientists. They are actually working with many things. Okay, so I'll actually give you some insights on what are the type of projects we actually do and give you an idea how these things are actually done. So first is actually to set the expectations. So what I'm actually trying to do today is to tell you guys what is actually AI, what is machine learning, and its practical applications. There's nothing theory. There is no theory we are talking here. So we are actually talking the applications of these technologies. And I will actually take you through a journey. So the journey is actually how we actually reached into this point. So starting from where we were before and what were the milestones as a human being or as a practitioner of AI and machine learning, how we actually reached to that milestone. So first, to set the background, so you may have many sessions on the same topic, so I don't want to actually take deeper into that. So AI is actually a superset of machine learning. So AI just try to actually simulate human behaviors through computer systems. That's in a nutshell. So when you actually talk about it, it's actually very simple as a definition, but actually when you think about the components under that, it's actually various components will be coming, and we'll actually dissect it, how we are actually reaching to an AI stage during our journey. So let me jump into the history. So first I want to actually talk about the journey. So everything is actually driven by data. So when you actually talk about AI, when you talk about machine learning, it's not something you can actually achieve overnight. And everything is actually built on a simple thing called data. If you don't have data, you can't actually do anything. The most important factor for being successful models, machine learning, AI, or any analytics projects you do is data. So I'll talk about data and the importance. Data never had an age. So data actually started from centuries. People started capturing the data from centuries. But what impact it makes when you start capturing the data, when you analyze the data, so how impactful it is. So you can actually look at the history. So I have one of my favorite story I used to present for the healthcare industries, which is Florence Nightingale story. So you guys know about Florence Nightingale? Any of you? Can someone tell me who is Florence Nightingale? You have 60 students, right? Can someone be vocal? Yeah? No? So yeah, so after my 10 minutes, I think you need to break this. So you shouldn't be continuing like this, okay? So this is the first barrier you have to break. You should actually learn to talk during a presentation, because this is something I learned in my career. When I was a student, probably I was actually someone like you, okay? Whether it's actually right or not, so be actually open to talk, okay? So I'm actually not going to give you a mark or anything, but you actually be open to talk. So it makes me more interactive. So when interactive is actually, the conversation will be actually interesting. It's not a monotonous presentation. I don't want to do that. So who is Florence Nightingale? Anyone? and give me one more chance. Anyone?
She's a nurse.
Who? She's a nurse. Who is that? Who's it that? What's your name? What's your name?
Nisha.
Nisha. So Nisha, what do you do actually? Which what's your batch, or what do you do there? Sorry? All right, sorry, your voice is breaking. So anyway, thank you, Nisha. So thanks for actually answering that. So Florence Nightingale was a nurse. She was actually lived in 1820 to 1910. So what she did actually, what was actually, do you guys know what change she brought into the world, or what is actually her contribution to the world? Why she is actually recognized as a well-renowned, Florence Nightingale as the, so why? What is actually the factor behind that? So if you look at it, actually, we need to go back to the history of Crimea War. So Crimea War actually was happening in 1853 to 1856 between the Ottoman Empire of France and the British versus the Russians. So what was happening is a lot of soldiers are actually getting injured, especially from the British side and French side. And the mortality rate, which is the death rate of these injured soldiers, were almost 25%. That means every 4 soldiers bringing into the hospitals, one of them is actually dying. So which is actually a huge number. So 100 people, you're actually talking about 25 will actually die. Okay, so that's the situation where Florence Nightingale was actually entering into her nursing profession. So she was actually monitoring it, and what she did is a great thing. So she was actually not ignoring the data points. She started capturing the data points, why these people are actually dying. So the soldier is actually brought in as a head injury or a thigh injury, but this guy died with actually with a cholera. Okay, the death reason was actually cholera. So she was actually monitoring all the death rates versus the actual cause of death, and she started monitoring it. So what happened then? So the major finding she had was the actual death reason is not the injury. The reason is actually something else. So then we found that cholera and other communicable diseases, these are actually causing the death. So what she did is actually she found the root cause further, and they found that the water is actually supplying to the hospitals are actually not clean. So that's actually one of the driving forces to cholera. So then Britain introduced something called Sanitary Commission. The Sanitary Commission came in and they actually changed the way the hospitals work, the supply of the water, the quality of water. They actually started working to improve that. So at the end, so what happened is, so even Florence Nightingale was a very smart lady. So she created the different way of visualizing this data. Whatever she captured, she started visualizing it. So you can see there's something called polar charts. This is called as polar chart. She started visualizing the death rates per month during this methodology. So each slice is actually representing a month. So you can actually see that how the death rate is actually turning by month to month. So what was the final result? So the final result was in the first winter, you can actually see the red line which I drew is actually the first winter. The death rate was actually increasing on month to month. Then the Sanitary Commission came, and the next winter, before the next winter started, some reporting stuff which can actually show me the previous trend or previous day's reporting. Okay, why our sale is actually higher than yesterday? What products are actually selling more? Okay, you are in a situation now. Actually do that because the data which we have or my system can't actually do that. So that's where the role of technology comes. The technology has evolved. Each layer you have different technology stacks. You can use for BI, you have used XYZ, Excel even you can actually use a lot of solutions. I'll actually cover that in the later Power BI, Microsoft Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense. You have a number of solutions available to solve this problem. So, but you need to have the data. Jump into descriptive analytics, and I'll show you a demo of how the descriptive analytics and the descriptive analytics and the BI. How many chickens how many chickens we can sell tomorrow? What do you think? This month, how many coconuts we can actually sell? system can't actually answer that query because my system is actually only capturing each and every transactions which is going to my system today, right? Or the historical transactions I have. But if I actually look at my report, it's not going to tell you that what will happen tomorrow or what is actually where you end up by end of the month. So what do you need? You need predictive analytics. So predictive analytics is actually have a different set of solutions, but it will be using the same data which you have used for reporting and doing the analytics. The same data it will do, and it will have the algorithms, and you write the algorithms, you call the algorithms like time series. You can actually use many algorithms, ARIMA. So there are a lot of algorithms you can actually use to actually build this model. So at the end, you can actually get a prediction. Okay, I'm actually going to sell 1,800 coconuts this month. Okay, so you will actually get an approximate results based on that. So after that, what I will actually look at it, okay, this actually gives me a prediction as well. So next layer, what I want to actually do is, okay, so I'm assuming, so as per our prediction, 1,800 coconuts we actually need. So the next one I want to actually look at it, can I actually make my ordering process automated? Because when the coconut level comes to this range, and based on the climate or the weather is actually hot, so people are actually tend to buy more coconuts, drink more water, whatever the reason it is. So I need to have multiple parameters coming into this. External factors also I need to bring into this, correlated, and make this entire process automated. That means my machine or my forget about the machine. I'm not that sophisticated yet. My the salesman has actually the number of my suppliers. So the system should actually give him alert. So we are actually going low. So you have to actually order now 1,200 coconuts today, and it has the expiry time. This many days only I can keep it. So all of these things should be actually considered. Bringing the AI and machine learning, it has the multiple components actually coming. It's not single algorithm. So you have one is actually forecasting. One model is actually for you looking at your, you're actually looking at your supply chain efficiency on the minimum days of your supply. All of these factors will actually bringing it together. Then you can actually build it as a full-fledged automated AI system. So that's how it actually works. A simple process you take, we can actually dissect into different layers and the different maturity. Then we can actually implement each layer, implement the solutions, and we actually go to the final layer, which is actually AI maturity. So it's a journey. So we'll jump into the step one, AI reporting and descriptive analytics. Okay. So I'll give you an example of that. So what I'm actually going to do is, it's all, how fast we can actually understand the insights. So the current trend is actually using data visualization heavily on reporting and descriptive analytics, rather than the typical question I ask: how many transactions we made by sending the bread, by selling breads. So what you're actually giving me is actually lines of item number and the quantity of the breads and 20 lines. That's not actually going to give me an insight immediately, because then I have to analyze that sheet again, then I have to calculate, I have to sum it up, and all. So rather than if it comes, the visualization is actually something very important for me to actually, how quicker I can actually understand the trends and patterns from my data. So I'm going to cover right now BI reporting and descriptive analytics scenario. Okay. So and the how visualization helps on the BI and the descriptive analytics layer. I'll actually give you a small screen. Okay, so this is actually a small challenge. So when you actually look at the screen, I ask a simple question: how many names are there in this screen right now? Someone tells me how many names are there. I'll give you a minute to count it. I'll give you a minute. So just try. I'm just asking you to try. How many names are there? Give me an answer. No guess, please. Can you count it in 2 minutes? Or in 3 minutes? No? Bring the answers, please. It's a minute now. Or someone tell me how much time you need. 3 minutes? It's already 1 minute over. I'm actually going to change the slide to something different. So how many names are there? The same screen, but I just added a color and I bolded that number's name. I did some visualization technique. Who's that?
10.
Who's it? What's your name? The guy who actually said 10 now. Sorry? You are right, actually. So it's actually 10. So from the initial slide to this slide, it's the same. Content is same. Nothing has changed, but it added some visual elements, right? There is a color element and there is a small size element has changed. So what it shows is actually my decision-taking time, if you look at it, each and every rows and columns to actually find the previous screen. And now, when we actually applied a visualization technique, simple two techniques we used, a visualization of size as well as a color, the decision-making process has improved from 2 minutes to 4 seconds. So look at the optimization percentage we achieved. So probably, even I consider is actually probably we made a 97% improvement in the decision-making process. Okay, so that's the power of visualization. What I'll do is actually I will jump into an actual practical example. Okay, so I'm going to use a solution called Tableau. Okay, so I'm see my screen, I assume. So anything interrupting or any lag, please let me know. I will actually adjust accordingly. So I'm opening a solution which is called a day-to-day analytics. Okay, so whenever I do analyze something, I will actually use Tableau. So Tableau is a solution for descriptive analytics. So if I have data, I can actually start asking for faster. Basically, the future is actually self-service and I do not require to actually answer. I have some data about the retail sales in a USB sales. Okay, so I have the data, which is actually sample superstore. I can connect to this data. The moment I connect to that data, on my left-hand side, see, I believe, so left-hand side, you can see all the columns available in this particular data set is actually listed down here under the measures or data visualization. How the same scenario I actually discussed. My sales trend, how I'm actually selling my products across the years. So what I do, my sales, I'm going to put into the rows. Okay, so that gives me a full figure of my $2.2 million. That's my sales for across the year. So I would like to see that by the time. So the time is where? From the date. So you can actually go to the date and you can pull it here. The date when I actually pull it, it actually shows me 2016, 17, 18, 19. This is my sales, okay, 484,000. Then it's actually came down to 470. Then it went to 609. Then last year I made 733K worth of sales. So I would like to see this instead of the year. I can click on the year and I can say that let me see it by month, continuous month. So I can select this month. It will actually give me the continuous month. So my questions and answers are actually happening right there. I don't need any others help. I don't need an expert to come and help me. Okay, this is called self-service analytics and descriptive analytics. So then I'm actually giving a name for this one. Okay, my sales trend. Okay, I'm giving this sheet a name, sales trend. So then the next one is sales trend looks okay. I'm not really satisfied because 7 months I'm actually very low. 7 months I'm actually so high, but it's actually not giving me the optimum performance in my sales. So I want to actually see further insights where I'm selling more, where I'm actually selling less. So I need to do another analysis where I'm selling more. So let me see where I am selling more. I am selling, okay. So when I look at it, do I have a location information in my data? Yeah, when you look at it, you can see that, yeah, there is actually location information, state, city, country, and all. So let me analyze by state, because it's a solution which is more of an intelligent solution. If you just double click on the state, what happens is it will actually populate the data in a map format. So it's actually a US data. So the data is actually plotting the data is actually showing the US state-wise report. So every state you have a dot. That means these are the states I'm selling. But it's actually not giving me insights how much I'm selling there, right? Okay, so I want to see which state I'm actually selling more and which are the states I'm selling less, right? So what I can actually do is, let's look at the visualization, about the size, right? I want to actually, my intention is this dot should actually change dynamically. The size should change dynamically based on the sales I make in these states. So size with the sales, that's a correlation I want to do. So I'm actually going to drag the sales into the size. So when I actually do this, you can actually see that immediately the visualization has changed. You can actually increase a little bit more. So what is actually saying, which state I have more sales now? Is one look I can actually see that California, New York, and Texas are the best states in terms of sales, right? And other states, these are the states very negligible. I'm actually not doing much, in those states. So this actually gives me a perspective now immediately that in the states which are actually my focus sales, but that's actually only one perspective, sales. But I am more interested in to see how's my profitability, because the sales doesn't actually support my organization. Sales only cannot support, because I need to make profit. If I'm making loss on these sales, it's actually not going to help me at all, right? So I want to actually look at the profit as well on the same visualization. So look at the visualization which actually we use in which we use in the names exercise, the number of names. We use size, and other element we use is color, right? So what I'm actually going to do is, let me color these bubbles with profit. So I'm actually going to color it by profit. So what happened? The trend has completely changed right now. So what you can actually see, you have these legends on the right-hand side. It shows that, okay, I had a great sale in Texas. However, my profit is not there. In fact, I'm actually making a loss of $25,000 there. Okay, so my initial perspective has changed. So Texas I was thinking that it was great, but actually it's not. In the profitability wise, it's not. So it's actually pushes me to do the next analytics. Why the sales is actually down in Texas? Okay, so I'm talking because this is what actually we do with the businesses. When we actually work with the customers, we actually find out the problems, what they're actually facing, what are the risks they're actually facing, identifying it, then the root cause, then how we can fix it, building a solution around it. So it's all start with a very simple descriptive analytics, identifying the problem, finding the root cause. So every analytics start, before even the machine learning journey, we actually start doing the descriptive analytics before we actually get into the solution stage. So then the next thing I want to do is, why I am making loss in certain states. So typically what we do, so if I ask Shubham, what do you do typically? When you find that, I'm asking to Shubham, okay, Shubham, ready to answer me. So if you have a shop and you think that your shop is making loss, what you will do next?
I will analyze the cause of loss.
Look at the cause of loss. Tell me some ideas. What your hypothesis? Some hypothesis you will be having, right? Why am I actually making loss? Something very simple hypothesis. Yeah, Shiva. Something, you tell me. We don't have much time actually, so I'm happy to actually do 2-hour sessions and all, but we have only 1 hour session, so we have 21 minutes left. Faster. Any idea?
Sorry.
What do you typically do? I mean, as per your idea, what you can actually do?
Sorry.
Okay, leave it, no worries. So if I am there, so I'll be actually looking at, I want to look at my customer level. So which customers are actually making me profit, which customers are actually making me loss, so I can create a better strategy. So I want to further drill down the data to the next level, till I get the exact root cause. So what I do is I'll create a new analysis. So new analysis, I want to see who are buying from me or something like that. Okay, so I have my customer name, every customer details I have in the customer name data. So you can see on my customer name. And what I want to do is, I want to find some outliers who are actually making me loss, who are actually making me profit. The outlier analytics. The outlier analytics, typical techniques we use for immediately identifying the outliers is something called scatter plot. You can refer what is scatter plot and how we can actually use scatter plot. The scatter plot is actually something like this. If you have too many data points to analyze and you want to find out which are the outliers you want, you have, so you can actually easily find out using a scatter plot methodology. So it will be having two axes. The column is actually sales and the row is actually the profit, and each dot represents your customers. So how I can actually do in Tableau that? Okay, so what I'm actually going to do is in the rows, what I want is profit. I put it profit here. In the columns, I want the sales. Okay, then I want the details of all customers. So I'll actually put my customer name into the detail. I have thousands of customers. Immediately it's plotted all the customers. You can see that most of my customers belongs to this region, which is actually average, but my best customers are these guys. Okay, so the top customer is actually Tamara Chan, who is actually spent around $19,000 with me, and I made a profit of $8,900 from her. And my worst performing customer is actually the bottom dot. She's lying there, Cindy. Cindy actually, I had a classmate called Cindy, so it remains her. So what she's doing with us is 5,690 is my sales, but I made 6,626 loss. Okay, similarly, you can see other customers who are actually making loss. So you can easily identify that these are the customers making me loss in my business. So I can immediately cut their relationships. I can actually tell them that don't come to my shop again. Okay, so even if I cut down, I can actually significantly save my loss margin. Right. So this gives me a high-level picture, but I'm not going to stop here. So my point is actually I can add a color of profit into the color, so it will actually gives me a clear distinction between the profit-making customers and the loss-making customers. So the oranges are my loss-making customers and my concern, and I can put the quantity into the size. So that will actually give me one more correlation, how much I'm selling to these people. So if you look at this person, John Lee, is buying a lot of things from me, but unfortunately he's not making me much profit. So it's actually almost 10,000 he spent with me, but my profit is actually only 229. So the customers we work with actually comes with these kind of problems, how we can actually improve our profit, how we can actually improve our operations, optimization. So these are the things we typically deal with. So we have to actually find out in a certain hypothesis we need to test before we actually go into the actual solution. So there is something to deal with. Our product mix is probably a problem. So we are actually not putting the right pricing, or our product mix is actually not right. So there will be different reasons, but this actually gives me an idea, something wrong with a lot of customers. So I need to find out what is going wrong. So what I need to do, I need to do one more analytics. After the customer, what I want to do is, what are these guys purchasing from me? I'll say that what are the products. Okay, so I want to actually understand why they are making loss. So what I do is actually I can go to the customer names, I can pull it. I just want to see the details, and I want to see all the products this particular customer purchased. I'll take the product and I'm actually going to put next to that. And then you can actually go to the sales and I can put the profit next to that. So it's all drag and drop. Don't worry about it. So you can download a Tableau trial version and you can also try this while I'm actually trying. So I'm just making you more inquisitive. So you can also go and try this. Anyone can do it. So, but I'm just, in the interest of time, I'm actually pushing it a little bit of a fast forward. So I'm actually putting all of these things. What is my profit ratio? And I'm actually going to add a color into that. So this gives me, and the color I am actually going to put just 2 shades. So this will actually gives me the full picture of all purchases these guys actually made. So the red denotes me the profit, the loss-making transactions. So now what I did is I did 4 analytics. Number 1 is actually sales, but then I actually looked at where I'm selling more, where I'm selling less. Then I looked at the customers who are actually making loss and profit. Then I have the entire transaction details of each customer. So how I make my conclusions and decisions, unless I'm actually seeing all of these things together. So what I'll do is I'll actually create something called a dashboard. So this is called analytics dashboard. So you can right click on it and you can say that create a new dashboard. The dashboards are actually a collection of multiple reports. And you can actually see all of the reports together. So don't worry about what I am doing. So you see the output. I'm dragging and dropping my reports, which I created, my sales trend. Then I have my geographical details. Then I'm actually going to see who is buying, my customer details. Then I have my transaction details. Yeah, so I'm actually good with my dashboard now, okay? So then what I need is actually, I'm going to actually ask these questions dynamically. That means I'm going to see what is going wrong in Texas, okay? So when I click on Texas, I want the information to change to Texas. So it's very simple. So you can actually have buttons here to make it as a filter. So then I click on the Texas. So what you see is the sales trend of Texas and the customers in Texas, most of the customers making lows in Texas. And this customer, Luke Foster, is the top loss maker. So then my question is, what is Luke buying from us? And why is actually a loss? So I can actually enable this also as a filter. One click is click transactions Luke made, and he purchased diameter around this one and DAX Clear channel poster. So the biggest loss I made is on DocuBind electric binding system, which I made a $3,702 loss. Okay, so from thousands or millions of transactions to the outlays, you can actually in 1 or 2 clicks, you can actually reach that. So this is what is descriptive analytics, which will actually give you answers to the problems which is actually happening. So this is actually the block number 1 to actually move to the next step of predictive and the machine learning. So I'll show you a simple example of predictive as well, because these solutions are actually most modern these days, and these also has predictive capabilities as well. Without, the idea is actually self-service. You don't need to be a programmer. You don't need to be a technologist to actually do all of these things. I can just click on my chart and I right-click on it and I'll say that, show me the forecast. There's a forecast. If I have the trend line, I can actually say, ask the solution to show me the forecast for the next year. So the forecast is actually built automatically. Okay, and behind the scene of this forecast, you can actually, if you're an expert of programming, so you can actually go and edit the forecast. You can edit the forecast model. So you can do that. Even if you're actually not a technologist, you can actually do all of these things yourself. So that's the modern technologies are actually offering. So I'm actually moving away from this descriptive analytics layer because we have the applied machine learning AI layer to actually cover. So I just want to conclude this area. So for your information, so what are the things you should be looking at as a guidance? You will be actually looking at these kind of solutions, which you can actually use to actually build these kind of analytics, what I was doing. Doesn't matter you are actually a graduate, postgraduate, whatever your education is. These days, it doesn't matter. You can play around with this, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense. These are commercial platforms, you have to pay the price. But for students, I think there are some options. You can actually download a trial or something. You can actually start playing around with this. It's open for everyone. You can actually try. A lot of tutorials available in YouTube and public media. You can actually use them to actually learn. So then you have open source when you talk about it. It's actually, I asked my team members to actually put it because I personally didn't work on these things, but my team actually worked on these different solutions. Superset is one of the leading ones. In the open source, you can actually download. It's a Python-based library builder, so you can actually have a superset, Kibana, high charts. I have not much idea about it because I haven't tried it personally. So, but I have people who worked on it. So you can actually use these ones as well. If these are free to actually play around with the data, and a load of data available in different government websites. COVID data. It's amazing thing. So COVID data you can actually download and you can do your own analytics. A lot of things you can actually do yourself. Don't stop, exploring these things. So a lot of things you can actually look at it. So I'll be actually sharing this presentation later with Sunita, so she can actually share with you guys on a PDF. So don't worry, no need to worry and document it. So it will be actually available after the session. So jump into AI. So I'll take 10 minutes to actually cover this area. So maximum I'll take 5-6 minutes. So this also I'm actually going to talk about a business case. So one of the pain points, the global organization, I'm actually taking from one of my libraries, which I help many customers on this problem, employee churn or employee turnover. So you may not be familiar as a student, but the global companies are actually facing. So we hire people, we train people, and at one point, my best performing employee is actually leaving for another job or another organization, or maybe she's quitting or retiring. she's not comfortable with the organization. So a lot of challenges globally companies are actually facing. So it has multiple impacts. So my highly skilled resource is actually leaving because I have a dependency on him on one of my biggest projects. And if I lose that person, I have a big impact on delivering it. Sometimes I spend a lot of money to train this person and he's leaving after every training happens. So that's actually another commercial loss for me. There are various reasons, so why people are actually, so it's a big problem because you're talking about a customer who is having 200,000 employees worldwide, a customer who has actually 5,000 employees worldwide. So this is always a pain point for the companies, But my thing is actually a solution. I'm actually simply thinking, can a system suggest me every month or every day that this particular employee is actually may leave you in next 2 weeks or may leave me in next 3 months? Can I have something like that? If something tells me before it happens. So that's actually where we can actually use AI and machine learning. So one of the use cases I'm actually going to show you is this employee chain model, how we can actually implement. So it's a simple, the business goal is, the first thing you need to actually figure out is what is the problem we are going to solve. So here the problem is how I can actually stop the employees leaving my organization. So in order to do that, I need to have, early warning signals. So the early warning, when I get this particular guy has a problem, he may actually leave. So I need to actually work on it, or I need to recruit somebody else, before he actually resigns. So that problem, we have to actually put the right statement. Then we can actually create an approach how we are actually going to solve. What are the things we need to actually create a model like that? First thing we need is data. So I cannot just create a model from the air because I need the supporting factors, supporting data to build this model. That means I need to have the full history of our previous employees who left us and all the active employees. As much as data points I can have, that will actually help me to build a more accurate model. So then we are actually going to do the second step is identify the common patterns between the people who already left us. And we need to identify the people who are actually having the similar patterns in the existing employees. So we can actually score them. So this guy has an 80% chance, this guy has a 90% chance. So all of these things we can actually do. Then that's how a model will be built. And this model will be continuously, we are validating it, something called reinforcement model we say. When a new employee leaves, then new pattern will come in. So that pattern also will actually adjust with the previous patterns. So the model is actually continuously get actually updated. So this is what I'm actually going to show. How does it looks like? So I'll actually show you a real model, how this particular scenario will looks like. So I'm going to one of my solutions. So I'll go to the advanced analytics and predictive. I hope you guys can see my screen, okay? So this is actually an employee chain model. So let me look at it. Probably it will take a little bit of time to load. Yeah. So this is actually an employee chain model, and I will read this story. So this is actually an analytics output, like a dashboard I built. This is kind of a dashboard. So what it says to me is this particular customer or this particular entity, this is actually dummy data, so it's not a real data. So I had 346 employees. Out of that, 301 is actually currently active. 45 employees left me. So I have the pattern of this particular 45 employees who actually left me. And my turnover percentage is 13%. So what are the data points I have about this 45%? So you can actually click on this employee demographics. So you can see that I have the age, department, education level, his gender, grade, job category, the marital status, nationality, all of this information. Then I have his salary details, what was his last hike, and this is the current monthly salary, all of this information, because these are the factors going to impact my decision to either stay in the company or actually look for other options, right? And the service details, how many leave days. Bradford factor is one of the factors, which is actually people calling sick. I used to do that, in the college, and also we call it as actually I'm not feeling well because I don't have a mood to go there, right? So Bradford factor is something clearly we can analyze it. Bradford factor ratio, if you get about an employee, so you can actually clearly define that this guy is actually interested in the organization, is actually reducing or increasing, right? So once you start capturing this information, you have a lot of things we can actually explore and to make it actually predict what will happen tomorrow. So leaves taken in the last 18 days. So all of these things, around 42 variables, the violation, absence, all of these things we have. So based on these 42 variables, what it does is actually the model which is actually running behind. So we have actually multiple models, and the best fit model will be actually selected. the statistical model. So this data will be passed to the model. And what happens is the model has predicted there are 4 employees may leave you out of my 301 employees. And it already give me a score as well. So the score is actually the employees who are actually having, I can actually put a score. I want to actually look at employees who are actually chances of about 80%. I can actually give my score. I can see that, oh, these are the 2 employees potentially having 80% or above chances to leave me. This guy has 98% chance. It's obviously, okay. So this prediction, how it's actually going to help me? Because before these guys are still with me, I can make my action plan to actually not going as a, in a chaotic situation. So I can actually manage it. I can actually have my own parameters, 60% employees. So all of these things, I can easily do that. So this is the advantage. So you can have your base more, you can have multi-statistical models for machine learning, and you can actually put the data into that. It can detect the patterns. And you can also see that this particular diagram says that this particular guy, what factor is actually pushing him to actually think about resigning and moving out? So last appraisal is the 30% chance, and the 15% is actually driven by his last increment. 8.9% is actually depends on his commitments. Marital status means he has married and probably has kids and he has more commitments, right? Gender is actually one of the factors. So you can actually see what are the different factors impacting his decision to leave as well. So this is the power of data, and this is the power of machine learning and AI. So you can actually predict what may happen tomorrow. And obviously, this will help the companies to save billions. Okay, so that's why people actually come and start using AI and machine learning than before. So how this is actually done, the step-by-step approach is just for your understanding, because I'm sure you guys won't get into this level at the moment, but always this is something you can go yourself and read it, learn, understand. You have a lot of resources to try yourself. Everything is available in the internet. So you have first step you have to do is get the data prepared to do the building the model. Then step 2 is build the model, and we have to actually test the model and actually check the accuracy of the model. Then first everything is done, then we deploy. The deployment is something you are actually seeing like this. The backend you are actually not seeing here, because the business want to actually see only this. I can't actually give him a 2,000 line of code. The business wanted to see is actually exactly a screen where I can. It actually talks to me business, right? It's not codes, right? So that's the final deployment will looks like. So that's about the applied AI machine learning. And these are the solutions you can actually look into, which is openly available, Python, R, Veka. I'm not sure what it is, but I have data scientists who's actually worked on this. So they actually suggested me you should show this as well. TensorFlow is from Google, which is open source. NIME is actually also one of the open source and very powerful one. Jupyter is another powerful one we can actually use. All of these things you can actually go and try. So in terms of career opportunities, this is an area you need to actually look at in the future. So this is actually from the Forbes. Machine learning, big data, and data science skills are the most sought after skills for the future, right? And if you look at the magic quadrant of the the opportunities or the job market, so if you take it, I think almost everything is actually data based, okay, and analytics based, business science based. So you should actually invest your time and focus. It's actually I don't want to say everyone should do that, because it's up to your interest. If you don't have an interest, don't do that. So it's our passion. If you have a passion to do this, go ahead and actually do that. All the resources are available. So limited time. So you have any questions at the moment? Because I'm sorry, because I took a little bit more time. However, you have 1 minute to ask me more questions. Anyone? Nobody? Come on, guys. At least one. How can I actually go back to the 81 people? Yeah. Who is actually some interesting name? Random. Gautam Sen. Are you from Bengal? So Gautam Sen, actually, do you have any questions on this? Gautam? Are you there? You probably actually kept on mute and actually playing PUBG. Okay. Anybody else? Guys, I have a question. Okay. So if someone answer me, so which was the tool I used to show you descriptive analytics?
Tableau.
Sorry,
It's Tableau.
Tableau. Okay, so who was that? Devu?
I'm Uma.
Uma. Okay, Uma, thank you.
Thank you,
So, second question I have to you guys is, what is actually the employee chain model? Can someone answer me? No? Anyone, please, the last chance. People are actually just running away, or they may have a class or. All right, so yeah, thanks very much, guys. So I'm actually finishing the session. It's all done. So I want to actually thank you, the guys who are actually supported me, who was actually answering my questions. So Nisha, Shubham, Uma, you guys will get this book. You can actually collect from Sunita. So thanks for answering their queries and being more proactive during the conversation. So thank you very much, Sunita and the entire UIT team for actually hosting me over here. It's my pleasure sharing my knowledge. And if you guys want to actually connect with me, you can actually, the best way is actually LinkedIn or my personal email address. Yeah, the LinkedIn is the best way if you want to actually connect with me. So thank you very much. Stay in touch. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, Indu. Ganga.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving your valuable insights. Please.
Good evening, all. On behalf of University Institute of Technology, Alapura, I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to those who have directly and indirectly contributed to this webinar. I thank our chief guest and resource person, Mr. INDUMON Das. We are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. D. Radhakrishna Pillai, for his enthusiastic guidance and support. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank all the participants for your presence and interactions. A special thanks to teachers, students, and our technical team of Knowledge Sharing Cell UIT Alapura for your immense support and coordination. Once again, thank you all for making this event with a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Formal section has come to an end. I use this opportunity to thank each one for sharing your valuable time to be here with us. Once again, thank you. Thank you all.